everybody? How we all going? Hello! Oh my gosh, the music. It was intense. It was so loud. I forgot to set the volume to something appropriate. Ow! Good morning. My brain cells. You just had to bonk the bad ones out of me, didn't you, chat? How we going today, everybody? Oh my gosh. What is going on? Hello, my name is Thinkafurr. Those of you watching on YouTube, those of you watching on Twitch, do you understand this is a multi-stream? Oh, you like that one, did you, Mahonry? Oh, you like that, did you? What you trying to say? Oh my goodness. What a time to be alive, chat. What a time to be alive indeed. Now look, I know I'm not the first. I'm not the first to be talking about this, but oh my gosh, let's just get this out of the way firstly. Good God. It is confirmed in 500 worlds. I thought this was a rumor, but this is actual 100% confirmed lore. We are, in fact, going to see the Primarchs Roboute Guilliman of the Ultramarines meeting and reuniting with his brother, Lion L. Johnson, Primarch of the Dark Angels. This is insane. This is actually insane. It's so crazy. I don't know what to do, chat. All I know is that I'm all for it. I am an Ultramarines fanboy. I am a Dark Angels fanboy. Heck, I'm a Blood Angels fanboy too. But I just don't have my Blood Angels army yet, so I'll get there. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you enough how exciting this is. Where do we want to begin with today's live stream? Where do we want to begin with it? You know, I will start by firstly equipping my armor of contempt to oh god, whoops, I keep forgetting that I have to be dish small to put it on. My armor of contempt to guard against all the difficulties of lore talking online and protecting me against the angry machine spirits that would destroy our stream. We begin on D's. No, that's what the armor's for. That's what I wear power armor for, to protect against these things. Hey yo, Cal, I just realized God, I forgot to put my helmet on. Oh geez. Cal, I just realized that you said a D's nuts joke and then I said better wear protection. Oh my god. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Oh god. Okay, but actually though, I had some peak thoughts, chat. Y6, this is your fault. I blame you for inspiring this. But chat, what if I set up a throne? Okay, what if I set up a throne account and called it Thinkafurr's Golden Throne, and the only thing it's got is memes that you can buy is memey things like how do I put this to you? So things you could buy that will appease the angry machine spirits that cause scuff on my stream, like purity seals. You could buy, you could purchase purity seals that I can stick on my modem or my computer to appease the machine spirits within, so that my stream stops scuffing all the time. And we'll just call it Thinkafurr's Golden Throne. That's what the throne account will be. It'll just be full of silly things. Okay, look. Admittedly, I can only half blame Y6 for that idea, because it was inspired from last stream, and then when I ended it, I was like, damn, it was so good an idea, why didn't I tell everybody this? But, oh well. Yes, Mahonry, I can confirm always wear protection, especially when going into battle. We are talking about battles, right? 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 Space Marines only know war and battling and stuff. Right? Right? Right. That's what I thought. But okay. So I genuinely think we ought to talk some Warhammer 40k lore. I kind of want to talk about 500 Worlds, little lore snippet, like what it actually is. But then I want to add some context, and I want to go back into history within the 40k universe, and talk about the relationship of Roboute Guilliman, the Lion, and of course Sanguinis. I did actually mention why I actually am a fan of the Blood Angels for a reason. They are all linked. Everything is linked. There is no coincidences, only confluence in the universe of 40k. There are no coincidences, chat. Only confluence. If you don't know what that means, it's like two rivers meeting one another and flowing into each other perfectly. And it's used to describe things that happen because they actually happen for a reason, and they are actually linked. But synergistically. Whereas coincidence, it just happens to be that these things look the same, kind of act the same, but are not related to each other. So yeah, the opposite of coincidence is confluence. But I digress. The language of today's live stream aside... Oh, God. Sorry, chat. My voice is getting ahead of me. I'm still waking up. This happens in the morning when I'm waking up. But also... the language of the live stream aside, just a small little health update. I've actually been feeling a lot better since I went to the coast, got some fresh air. By the way, that weird cough thing disappeared. We came home, and it did not return. I suspect maybe it was like something potentially like from being sick, and it just stuck with me for a while. Even after getting over it. But yeah, the weird coffee thingy is gone. The only coffee thingy I have is the one that's in my mug that is for drinking now, so it's gone. And I am so much happier for it. And also, life update, we put this in last live stream, but I want to put it out there again for a couple more live streams for the people who miss it. Elfie and I are confirmed to be getting married this year. Hey! It will be in December. I am not leaking the date. If you know me closely, you will know it. If you're a mod, you will know it. If you are in our Discord and part of the behind the scenes, you will know it. And then closer to the date, I think everybody will probably end up knowing it. But for now, I'd like to keep this between myself, my partner, and close people. But yes, we are confirmed to be getting married this year, chat. It's so cool. Also, so y'all know that I do a lot of different martial arts, and longsword fencing is one of them. Now look up. I'm not gonna lie, it's super cool, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's nerdy as heck, and I am all for it. Elfie has commissioned a highly reputable blacksmithing group, Regenier. I know them as well, because I've gone through them before as well. And they are forging me a sword, a long sword. This is to be my equivalent of an engagement ring, but it will be the family sword. So, kind of liken it to Tarnished giving Rani the Dark Moon ring, and Rani giving their Tarnished consort the Dark Moon Greatsword in Elden Ring. Kind of liken it to that, and then, you know, how there's the Age of Stars ending, they end up getting married. Kind of liken it to that, sort of. It's really amazing. So it's so cool. It's so cool in every way possible. But like, yeah. So, details on the longsword and being smithed and being created and how it looks will be posted probably within 5-ish, 6-ish months. It will be the family sword, and it will be very, very special. I get to cut the wedding cake with it. I get to cut the wedding cake with the chat. Yeah, no, that will be posted within 6-ish or so months in a super duper top secret chat for behind the scenes members only, who are members on YouTube, paying members on YouTube, or Twitch subbers, or Patreon members. Honestly, sorry chat, with the way YouTube's landscape looks, I think that it will be very beneficial to also have Patreon going, because you just never know with how like how YouTube's going to behave in the future with things like ads, things like what do you call it, demonetization. Like, I recently saw, oh my god, it scared the life out. I saw the Remembrancer get demonetized unfairly because an AI channel copied his channel's name, and then his channel, the real channel, got taken down by mistake by YouTube, and he was projected to lose almost $20,000 AUD, which is like, I believe, roughly 10,000-ish to 11,000-ish pounds in his currency. He recently got his monetization back, so that's good news for the Remembrancer, but it just makes me think, like, oh my god, what if this happened to me? And, like, should I be caring so much more about the Patreon and YouTube members and Twitch subbing more so, and behind the scenes? I feel like I should be, but yeah, I guess it's something to think about for the future. Oh, you got a question? Yo, Mahonry, hit me with that question. hit me with that question. I will take all the questions before we get into the whole lore talking. Would Lionel Johnson have forgiven the Fallen if the Imperium had not been watching? Yes. Yes, he did. In fact, Mahonry, as far as the Lion was concerned, I'll give you this. In his book, The Son of the Forest, The Lion, the circumstances of how he comes to forgive the Fallen, it is one part predetermined as destiny, and another part totally in the middle of nowhere in a forest encampment thing, and a snap decision. When he meets Zabriel, like, he wasn't considering anyone's opinion. He wasn't considering anyone's opinion but his own, and how he saw and understood things. But he was also rational enough to listen to Zabriel at the time. So I'll pitch you what happened. The Lion woke up. He doesn't remember himself fully. He is completely unaware of himself. He doesn't even know his own name for that moment. And then he meets some humans. He saves them from a chaos group of warp suffused animals that are super duper scary. And they're like, could you like protect us? And he's like, yes, I feel compelled to protect humans. I don't understand it, but I feel it to the core of my being. And I also feel a need to hunt chaos and kill it. And that's all he understands is his purpose, to protect humans and hunt and kill chaos and sniff it out. And he still doesn't know himself. And then he comes to their encampment, and a fallen Dark Angel, one of the, like, literally a hero, a decorated, amazingly stacked hero of the Dark Angels, is a fallen Dark Angel. And he comes out the tent. He's been protecting them, the human encampment, for some time, alone. And here's the thing. Upon Zabriel seeing the lion, Zabriel opens fire and immediately starts fighting him. The lion, who still doesn't know himself at the time, like ducks and weaves and makes sure that no bullets go towards any of the humans. And then he proceeds to judo the living heck out of Zabriel, disarming him. And he's got him pinned down. He could lay down some serious ground and pound on Zabriel. Because, Primarchs are totally different to, Space Marines in physicality and speed. It's absurd. Like, the moment Zabriel started to twitch his trigger finger, Lionel Johnson was so fast that he was already a blur and moving and out of the way of the bullets. He's, literally faster than the twitch of a Space Marine's trigger finger. Anyway, in that time frame of having pinned down Zabriel speaks, and he confuses the lion for a moment, and the lion sees the pauldron of Zabriel, and he sees the Dark Angel symbol on it, and just enough memories come back to him that he remembers his name, he remembers his legion, enough to have a conversation, and enough to remember that he was betrayed when he came home to Caliban. And he's like, "You're a traitor! You guys shot us out of the sky! And then we came down to fight you on the surface of our homeworld. Why did you betray us, Zabriel?" And then Zabriel explains, "We didn't betray you. Here's why." And the lion goes, "Huh. Okay. Keep talking. Keep talking. What do you mean 10,000 years have passed? What do you mean I'm old? What do you mean most of my brothers have died?" And then Zabriel sits down with them, and they both have this cute little moment on the ground where son is explaining to father, and they more or less have this moment where they're sitting together talking about history, and the lion is just mind blown at that point. So Mahonry, to answer your question with that piece of information contextually, he didn't even consider the Imperium's eyes as far as it's concerned. He was already forgiving the Fallen, in that snap moment, without even a second thought to the Imperium, to the people watching. He would have killed Zabriel right then and there. He would have just gone squelch had he thought that Zabriel was irredeemable. As it turns out, Zabriel is based. Zabriel is amazing and awesome. And as it turns out, he posed some pretty good arguments to the lion. So, yeah. Oh, another question. Hang on. If the lion would have forgiven the Fallen in private, does that mean the Dark Angel's obsession with secrecy is a betrayal of his true values? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just a reflection of old lion. I think it's a reflection of old lion. The modern Dark Angels, if you take note, Chad, there's this really interesting duality with the Dark Angels. On one part, they have the forest green of Caliban. There's lots of life. There's lots of virtue, and openness. But then there's the tyrannic black steel of their power armor, and all of the Imperium's, vibes. And when you think about it, when you really think about it, I love the fact that they have two different paint schemes. Even as a Loyalist Legion, they did. And what it makes me feel like is the duality between the legions, like mindsets of being this amazing open group of like space knights that are like King Arthur's round table, but then they're also like the space knights CIA equivalent, where they're like the super secret agency, sorry, of space marines that can also operate in shadow to some degree. I feel like that's a combination of like, yeah, old Lion, and new Lion. So 30k Lion back in the Heresy era, who was like younger, a bit more rash. Okay, I say a lot more rash, and openly a proud warrior, whilst also being quite secretive, about certain particulars. But you got to remember, the First Legion was created as the First Legion for a reason. They are structured in a very particular way, Mahonry. They are the only Legion that is greenlit by the Emperor to use any and all weaponry and technology available, any and all means available, to destroy their foes. They are who you send when you want nothing remaining of your enemy, to the point that no one will know about them. No one will whisper their names in history. History will not remember them, because they are that so utterly destroyed by the Dark Angels. That is more or less the dark. Ah, Carol, no. Ah, why? Ah, no. Stop. Ah, committing exterminatus on my brain cells. You're gone. Why? Okay. Oh no! Even after. No. Okay. No, Cal, you cannot use this weaponry. Cal, stop!
Purge them in flame!
My brain cells have been purged in flame, Chad. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I am thoroughly terrified of Cal's ability to use any and all weaponry available to purge my brain cells. But that aside, there's a very specific group, Mahonry, who are the ones tasked with using such weaponry, and then there's another group within groups that are knowledgeable of said secret weaponry and technology. So, firstly, you have the Dreadwing, and they are who the Dark Angels send to more or less utilize said weaponry and technologies to completely obliterate worlds of like civilizations or alien species or space Cthulhu creatures and entities that are so dangerous that it warrants absolute destruction. Look, they can look, the things they're allowed to use, chat, it's like this. Every single thing that the Emperor has said is heresy and is banned, he greenlit the Dark Angels to use. They have a armory that... Oh! You broke... Oh my god, you broke it. You broke it, Cal. Dear God, you broke it. Dear God, you broke it, bro. No, not on me. Not on me. But I digress. Okay, I've had enough coffee. You know what? I'm gonna turn that throw off. You'll keep doing that. But look, where was I? The Dark Angels have a armory that is comparable to the Custodes. If that gives you any perspective, the Custodes are the Emperor's finest warriors and advisors, closest friends, even like okay. Do not expect Custodes to be the same as Space Marines, chat. They are totally different from Space Marines. They are quite literally between the level of Primarchs and Space Marines, and they will absolutely body Space Marines. Like, I think one Custode took stated at one point that he was like the equivalent of 100+ Space Marines fighting him at once. Like, he could kill. They are known even, and they have been witnessed to have taken on hordes of Space Marines in single combat. They are basically anime protagonists, each and every one of them. And to Space Marines, Custodes are seen as like a golden blur. Do with that what you will. Do with that information what you will. They see Custodes as a golden blur. They are in a different tier of strength and speed and intelligence to a Space Marine. But that said, the Dark Angels have their own armory that is comparable to the Custodes. That is wild when you really think about it, when you really look into it and understand the First Legion's potential. Now, the reasons this goes into the next part. Why the Dark Angels were created by, well, the Emperor. Why the First Legion was created in the first place. And given this ability to be greenlit for absolute weaponry, they were first created to initially, right, handle any treasonous handle any treasonous, I always get them mixed up, Mechanicus, Mechanicum members of Mars, and utterly annihilate their Forge Worlds should they turn treasonous. Oh god, sorry chat, I may have burped. Sorry, I'm still digesting my coffee. Apologies. But where was I? They were quite. Oh, were they a contingency against humanity itself and a symbol of? It's both. It's both. It's both, Mahonri. They are simultaneously a contingency against traitorous elements of humanity predicted to come true by the Emperor, and they are also loyal to humanity, and they are a symbol of that loyalty of humanity because the Emperor created them to protect humanity, in a sense, from certain elements, problem elements predicted to come true by the Emperor. It's just that his predictions were so far into the future that they're at a point in history where the Emperor's on the Golden Throne and interred. Like 10,000 years later, the Cult Mechanicus, the Adeptus Mechanicus, I know that the modern Mechanicus folk on Mars are called the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are an Adeptor. Yeah, so it just so happens that 10,000 years into the future, in 40k's history, the Adeptus Mechanicus have a traitor element, and it is the fact that certain leadership groups have realized that the Golden Throne is failing, and that all they have to do is let the Emperor die on the throne to swoop in and take over the rest of the Imperium. At least that's what they think in theory. We are undoubtedly going to see some sort of throwdown with the Imperium and the traitor elements of Mars in the long run of the lore. I suspect that... Okay, here is what I think is going to happen, guys. This is my prediction for the meetup, right? Why it has to happen. Why it has to happen. Okay. So let me just change the music up, because it's gonna make perfect sense. It's gonna make so much sense. Hang on. Okay. Here it is. My prediction as to why strategically this needs to happen. both in like a warfare sense and in a plot and lore sense, why the two Primarchs need to meet and why they're confirmed. So in 500 Worlds, Lion L. Johnson, at the end of the campaign, allegedly sends a message to Roboute Guilliman saying, brother, we need to talk. Now, why they need to talk is quite simple. Here's what I think it is. I think they need to unite because there are traitor elements in Mars, confirmed. The Adeptus Mechanicus has treasonous elements. The Golden Throne is predicted to fail. And a certain aspect of the Emperor has been trying to send code messages to explain what's happening to Lion L. Johnson. Now, I suspect... by the way, these coded messages are in the forms of, like, visions in his forest world with a very specific aspect of himself that can't speak and is using, like, objects, and it's all in, like a vision quest kind of sense every time the Lion meditates. Now, look, they're going to... I suspect Guilliman and the Lion will meet up, right? And they will discover together in a talk. Well, they'll talk. They'll meet up. They'll catch up, and then what's going to happen is the Adeptus Mechanicus of Mars will reveal its hand. It will play its hand, or at least the traitor elements will, and then you'll have an issue with the traitor elements of Mars, and the Lion is going to go, "Don't worry, brother. I got this. This is what we were made to do. I will protect humanity." And then Vashtor, the Archifane, is going to come in. You all know that Vashtor the Archifane is like more or less the Chaos God of innovation. I suspect Vashtor's relationship with Mars and those traitor elements of the Adeptus are going to like join forces, and there's going to be this huge war, and Lionel Johnson, his Legion of Dark Angels, both Unforgiven and Risen, which are the fallen who are redeemed, are going to swoop in, show their worth, show their mettle, show their loyalty to humanity, and protect it alongside Roboute Guilliman's Ultramarines in taking on the traitorous elements of Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, this is after 500 Worlds has concluded and the Necrons have been fought back. The 500 Worlds of Ultramar are retaken under the command of Titus, who is fighting on behalf of Roboute Guilliman. Which makes so much sense. It all makes sense. And here's why. Here's why. In the book, The Silent King, which is like the Dawn of Fire series, book series last novel, I believe it is. Let me I can't remember. Hang on. Let me double check if it is the last book. Or if it's in that. Hang on. I'll just bust out my, let's say, Dawn of Fire series. Yeah, The Silent King. There you go. The last book in the Dawn of Fire series. Here's what happens. Roboute Guilliman and Belisarius Cawl, they have been trying to understand the Necrons, trying to fight them back, and they have taken extreme losses in outer space and across the worlds of Ultramar. They have, like, the Ultramarines and Guilliman have taken massive losses against the Necrons, and the Adeptus Mechanicus have been hiding just how big of a threat the Necrons are, and they send a emissary of sorts from within inner leadership, right? She knows about the Golden Throne failing, and she's in on it. She's in on this little traitorous mindset where they're like, well, maybe we should let the throne die so that the Emperor will die, and if the Emperor dies, we can take over the Imperium, and Mars can be dominant in its leadership, right? Well, here's the thing. She goes and reveals the sizable threat to of the Necrons, right, to the Imperium in a meeting, right? And Cole and Guilliman see it all, and it all lights up, and more or less, she's there to like pass that information over so the Imperium can fight back the Necrons, but also low-key, she's trying to recruit Belisarius Cole to her cause, and she wants him to take absolute power over Mars, and she wants to lead Mars through Cole, and Cole isn't buying it. He more or less puts a middleman between himself and her and says, "Hey, middleman, go talk to this lady because I don't want any, I already know what she's gonna ask me, and I don't want to lead Mars. I need to focus on being a scientist and protecting humanity with my big brain, right?" And so she gets rejected, more or less, by Cole. But she reveals to the middleman that there are things about, like, the Imperium, the Golden Throne, and the Emperor that you don't know. And she more or less reveals her hand and gives a data slate to the middleman. And so here's the thing. The middleman knows he's been given that data slate, which will know everything. Which will show everything about their current state of affairs, and Guilliman will eventually find out. Paul absolutely will find out. So this little treasonous act by the Adeptus Mechanicus leadership happened right after the Necrons have ravaged the 500 worlds of Ultramar. Now, post this, Titus is tasked. This is after the fact that Titus has completed Space Marine 2's events. He's gone and done secret levels events, and he's done his mission. He's returned. He is then promoted to being Warden of Ultramar and Captain of the Second once more. And Leandros can stick it because now he just can't do anything to Titus. But Titus effectively has now been tasked with retaking the 500 worlds of Ultramar, and it goes like this. Titus is avenging all of the losses of the Imperium of Man, all of the losses that have been incurred within the Dawn of Fire series. He more or less has to go back and like retake everything that's lost and then some. Now, the fact that at the campaigns, at the end of the campaign, it reaches its conclusion, Titus sees the message and has to relay it to his Primarch, Roboute Guilliman, that the Lion wants to talk. The Lion has returned. And that Guilliman is not alone. It's massive because it shows, okay, the Necrons campaign has concluded. And Titus has retaken 500 worlds of Ultramar. But more than that, it shows that after this, they're going to meet up. The two Primarchs are going to meet up. And we know the Dark Angels have been created for a reason. And we know that the Adeptus Mechanicus have shown and played their hand. And they want to try and take over after the throne fails. If that is even a thing that's going to happen for the Imperium, right? What's to say Vulcan won't come back and fix the throne? Or the throne does fail, but the Emperor dies and reincarnates immediately, you know? The Sisters of Silence have been sacrificing Psychers, like, in droves for millennia. What's to say that he doesn't have enough juice now to just reconstitute himself once the throne fails, and he's just waiting for it to fail? But that said, my idea is that the Necrons have fought back, the Adeptus Mechanicus traitor elements emerge. There's this big war that's going to come into effect between the Imperium of Man and Mars. A civil war will happen, and both Lionel Johnson, Roboute Guilliman will be tasked with quelling this civil war between, you know, the Imperium and Mars, and they'll have to retake it in, you know, the name of peace. And going from there, Vashtor, as I said, I think Vashtor will play a big role. I think he's going to try and appeal to the traitor elements of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and if he can take over Mars, he will. He said that he was going... Okay, so in the end of Archmagos, he said that he wanted to try and get Belisarius Cawl under his wing. I think this is how he tries to do it. But my theory is that he will fail to recruit Cawl to his cause as the god of innovation. I suspect that what will occur is he will go in, he will try to take over the leadership elements that are treasonous within Mars. He brings them to his cause, and ultimately he tries to tempt Cawl amidst this war between Guilliman's forces of Ultramarines and Lionel Johnson's forces of Dark Angels, and warring with them. And I think that Cawl doesn't get swayed. I think that Belisarius Cawl simply goes, I am actually friends with the Emperor. I'll have you know, he trusts me, he believes in me, and your offer is meaningless. And then I think he turns the dimmer switch on a Necron pylon, and then simply just turns off Vashtor's ability to even exist. Using a Necron pylon, which would be hilarious, chat. Could you imagine Vashtor just like trying to speak and then calls like, I blocked you on Facebook, and then he just uses a Necron pylon that he remade to just simply say, nah, I've blocked you on Facebook, dude. Don't talk to me. I dimmer switched you out of reality. Goodbye. Could you just imagine? Could you just imagine the outrage Vashtor would feel at just being so thoroughly denied? Like, it would be hilarious, absolutely hilarious, if that happened. Needless to say, he is the god of innovation. He controls technology, so I suspect that Cawl would try to do that, only for Vashtor to take control of the machine for a moment. And then what happens next is that there's a fight that's going to happen between Cawl, Vashtor, and it'll take its course. Cawl will be pinned down for a moment, and then I think what will happen is that a Dark Angels element or a Ultramarines element, or both the Dark Angels and Ultramarines will have characters that intervene in the fight and distract Vashtor long enough for Belisarius Cawl to then hit up his pylon and banish Vashtor out of reality by just turning off the ability for the warp to be connected to space in that area of space. And then it'll be over. I bet you it will play out something like that. Now, look, everything I've just said is just theory. So that's like how I suspect it will all play out post 500 Worlds, leading into their meeting and what it all means into the future. That's like my take. I think it's a very cool take. Do tell me your thoughts and comments below on what you think, chat, and YouTube comments. Do let me know what you think could be the true meaning behind their meeting and where it will lead. But that's just based off like books and the current history of 40k leading into 500 Worlds, leading into that meeting there of the Primarchs. Yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below, or if you're in chat, post it in chat. If you want to share it in Discord, there is a joining link that you can use. If you go to the channel's about page, the Discord server's joining link is there. You will need to agree to our rules and react to the rules to actually get chat access. If you struggle with that, just at me or a admin and we'll walk you through it. But yes, it exists if you want to talk lore there too. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the meeting of the Primarchs and everything about it. Mahonry, what do you feel? How do you feel about I guess the way I answered your question, because your question more or less is what I springboarded off to use to talk about 500 worlds. It's like the most impertinent. It's like pretty much the most impertinent points to make about 500 worlds. No further questions, Your Honor. Ah, Bahonry, I see. Calcifer, talking about the Warhammer universe? That sounds like heresy. Oh, man. Valid. Hey, look, it's not heresy to talk about history. It is actually heresy to assume the current year date or calendar date of the 40k timeline. Yes, that's right. The Auto Chronos will actually accuse you of heresy if you state that you think it is the current year date of blah, because it is currently up for debate as to what year everybody is in. Oh god, there is actually such a funny, hilarious meme for that one, where Guilliman asks, "Hey, what year is it now that I'm back?" And I think Kaido Sicarius is like, "That is heresy. Even ponder." And then Guilliman's like, "Excuse you? What do you mean?" And he's like, and then Kaido's like, "The current year is still up for debate." And it's just another panel of Guilliman being shocked, depressed, and like mortified as usual as to the current state of the Imperium of Man upon his awakening. Guilliman goes into a massive depression when he first wakes up and everything has been dealt with, because he realizes that it's just so far gone, so far gone from his father's dreams for humanity, which are his dreams too. And he wants to preserve his father's dreams of humanity. Everybody accuses Guilliman of wanting to be the Emperor, when it's not at all what he wants to be. He believes in his father's dreams of a united Imperium of Man that prospers, like deeply, so deeply, and he just wants his father's dream to live on, and for humanity to live on, like from the bottom of his heart, to the point embodies his father's dreams. There is a reason he was chosen to be the Emperor's avatar, and for the Emperor to speak through him, and why the Emperor gave him his powers during the fight of Nurgle. The Emperor chose him to avenge all that was laid low in that moment. The moment that Guilliman died is the moment he was proven worthy under the eyes of the Emperor and was resurrected to burn the Garden of Nurgle. So it's, yeah, like the Emperor doesn't see him as a traitor at all. Don't get me wrong, when the Emperor spoke to him initially, there was some harsh words, but like that is a whole other kettle of fish. Like, you don't, yeah, the easiest way to explain it is there are some things that you shouldn't take too seriously in that meeting, and there are some things you should take seriously in that meeting. Yeah, but that said, let's talk about the history of Guilliman, relationship, the history of the Lion, the history of the Blood Angels, because it's really important. It's really important leading up to their meeting and the current state of affairs in the Imperium. I think everybody should be made aware of it. So just a moment. I'm just gonna have some of my my allergy meds chat, because I do want to talk the lore, but I don't want to be impeded. So just give me a second. Okay, so, all right. Guilliman, the Lion, and Sanguinius They have a very close relationship. The Blood Angels, the Ultramarines, the Dark Angels. They are destined to have a relationship of sorts that will be very deeply tied to the dreams of humanity, humanity living on, protecting humanity, growing it. Those three legions. Now, to be specific about things, in the current state of affairs, in Imperium Nihilus, you have the Blood Angels, you have the Dark Angels. In Imperium Sanctus, you have the Ultramarines. Now, don't get me wrong, the Ultramarines, there is a reason they are so prevalent. In the current state of affairs of the Imperium of Man, there is a reason. Now, at the end of the Horus Heresy, oh yes, we're going back 10,000 years. It starts here, chat. It starts here. Then we'll go back in time a bit further later on. But take this into heart. We're going to talk about the history of those three legions, their Primarchs, and why it matters. Why it matters with the meaning of Lionel Johnson and Roboute Guilliman. Going back to Horus Heresy. Also, hello, Kotlaw. Welcome in. Good to see you. Shout outs to Kotlolish. Let's go back 10,000 years now. 10,000 years ago, at the end of the Horus Heresy, where Horus has been annihilated by the Emperor is interred on the Golden Throne. We have the Era of Ruin. Humanity is so shattered on Terra. Terra is like, oh my god. Terra has barely any survivors left. It is utterly devastated and on the brink of collapsing, with everybody dying of disease, death, and disease and starvation, and radiation poisoning, and just like poisoning of all the harsh chemicals used in all the weaponry that's like utilized in the Siege of Terra, and Guilliman was stuck in a time storm. He couldn't actually get to Terra. He was on the cusp. He was like hours out, guys. He couldn't get there to fight in the siege with the fleet of Ultramarines. He was literally stuck in like a time storm that was like a more or less a temporal loop that was keeping him out of the battle. He didn't know that at the time, but after the heresy's concluded, the storm dissipates. He's allowed to reach Terra. He is the only Primarch, the only legion. He has the only legion that has an entire system's worth of supplies. He is the only one with a functional supply chain of planets that can literally go in and reimburse humanity's forces on Terra. You know, like food supplies, medical supplies, rad healing medication, so radiation medication to like help, you know, reverse the effects or stave off the effects. He's the only Primarch with the resources to go in and rebuild the Imperium of Man from scratch, down at the Siege of Terra, with the assistance of course, the Custodes. Now, here's the thing. For this alone, he's the only Primarch that, in the eyes of the remaining systems of human governance, matters. He's the only Primarch with actual, real, functional authority besides having a big fucking stick. Like the other Primarchs who had armies and could, like, you know, lead through fear. He's the only Primarch that actually has supplies. He has worlds of supplies that, and like, the ability to produce. He's the only Primarch that can offer something of actual, like, long-term longevity to humanity and the Imperium of Man and its human governmental departments, right? Now, the reason humanity no longer sees all the Primarchs as valid sources of governmental power is because of this. He's the only one that actually can offer them physical infrastructures on a galactic scale that can help them retake their own, or rebuild, I should say, and retake their own empire. And they see the writing on the wall. All of the other Primarchs were offered absolute forms of power and could more or less demand anything they wanted if they needed it for the Great Crusade in that time of human history. And that was needed, that was valid at the time. They could circumvent all forms of human governance for the fact that, you know, they were trying to build and pay forth a galaxy-spanning empire, and the Emperor decreed that they had this power. But the Emperor's on the Golden Throne. He's down and out. And the Great Crusades era died. When the Horus Heresy began. The moment the Drop Site Massacre began at Istvan 3 and 5, and, like, the moment that happened, Horus killed the dream of the Great Crusade for humanity's future in that way. So, the humans that are on Terra, the governmental departments that are on Terra, see the writing on the wall for what it is, and they see Guilliman as the main Primarch who should be humanity, because he's actually not just a warlord, he's a politician. He's a person who actually can be reasoned with. He's a person who actually has resources to offer. All the other Primarchs, their legions only focus on themselves. They only focus on their ability to wage war, for the most part. I mean, even Lionel Johnson and I love Lionel Johnson's legion. Their legion focuses on building themselves. They prioritize their supply chains in their worlds, but only in the interests of the Dark Angels. So, the reason, here's the thing. Lionel Johnson would have offered his own resources if he could have at the time, but he couldn't, for two reasons. One, Lionel Johnson was too far away. By the time he would have reached Terra, it would have been too late. He was off destroying the Chaos Forces supply chains, their worlds, weakening the Traitor Primarchs' connection to the Warp, weakening them by destroying the physical aspects in reality of that were echoing back, I guess, the Traitor Primarchs' own, I guess, how do I put it to you? It was more these worlds, these traitor worlds, were in a sense icons of their power in physical reality, and to destroy them would weaken the Traitor Primarchs' connection to the Warp, and also it would just weaken their powers gifted to them by the 4 Chaos Gods. So the Dark Angels Primarch was off doing some really important business to help, in a sense, backcap the Siege of Terra. But if he didn't do that, the siege would have gone very differently. Sanguinius probably would have died to Angron, maybe, ? Instead of dying to Horus. So, yeah. But, that said, too far away. The other reason he can't offer his legions resources and worlds of resources like Guilliman could at the time is go far back to a midpoint in the Great Crusade before the Horus Heresy. You have the Rangdan Xenocides. The Rangda are a Xenos species so prevalent that to discover them is to know your own annihilation. If you're just a normie human world and you encounter them, it's over. It's too late. So, the Dark Angels, they are the Legion who, alongside the Space Wolves, they are the Legion that more or less put the Rangda Xenocides, so put the Rangda to the sword and completely annihilated them together with the help of the Space Wolves eventually. But the thing is, they did so much of the cleanup work that their legion was decimated. Like so badly. We're talking about Space Marines in the tens of thousands dying. Chat. So the Rangda were not to be trifled with, and the Dark Angels, as great a legion as they are, they took a serious hit from removing this threat to humanity. Like this, the Rangda would have not only dealt with humanity if left unchecked, but they would have wiped out all life if they had been left unchecked. That's how potent a threat the Rangda were. But they're a mysterious species that we know nothing about besides their existence and their name, and like how poisonous and toxic they were, and the fact that they could enthrall you and make you a mind slave. They were kind of like Space Cthulhu, as a species. Like, but that said, yes, the Dark Angels, they were busy in the Great Crusade. They lost a lot of forces, and they had to rebuild. They needed to rebuild, and so of course, that's their priority: rebuilding. In like, what all the while trying to still look strong, still being strong, but only within their means. So you have a legion that has to live within their means. Meanwhile, the Ultramarines barely suffered compared to the Dark Angels as far as their numbers. And hence that's why like the Ultramarines were the largest legion after the fact of the Rangda Xenocides. But like that's like the other reason Lionel Johnson can't offer his legions world's resources either in entirety like Guilliman can, but he can offer them to a degree within his means. He has less power in this court, this big meeting that happens, than Guilliman does. He has much less of a say. And so do all his other brothers, especially Rogal Dorn, which I'll get to. So, going to this big meeting now, flashing back to this big meeting after the Horus Heresy in the period in the book Ashes of the Imperium, right? In which Guilliman says, okay, everybody, we're rebuilding humanity now. We have rebuilt it to the point that the Imperium still stands. We can now talk government meetings. Okay, human governmental adeptees, or adepts, I should say. Let's talk business. And he invites his brothers there, you know, out of respect of them being his brother, like the Primarchs, right? They're also Primarchs. They should have a say in this meeting, right? And he hopes that they will all agree to his idea, which is we make a conservative push to take one very important target. Now, this target is Luna, and if they don't take this target, then Chaos will have a really annoying like stronghold in the planetary system where Terra is located, which is planet Earth, by the way, if you don't know that. It was renamed Terra a long time ago. But the thing is, Rogal Dorn is furious. He doesn't want to make a conservative push to take this one world back. He just wants to go, nah, I just want to go on a massive revenge crusade right now and go and slay all the traitors wherever they are. And Rogal Dorn has a secret meeting between himself, the Lion, and Leman Russ, of the Primarch of the Space Wolves, right? And he tells him that he thinks his plan is better and that Guilliman's crazy for trying to make a conservative push. Now, here's the thing. Guess what happens in that meeting? Guilliman puts his point forward that we need to build up the Imperium of Man as we retake the stars and retake our empire and kill any of the traitorous elements that are left over. He puts this forward to everybody, and the human elements all agree that this is a good idea, except for like one, who thinks that we should just go and kill all the traitors. But even she like sort of goes, yeah, I do want to do this, but also I think I should agree with you because we do need a ground to stand on before we can really go forth and do this. Rogal Dawn is furious, and he like steps up and pitches his point, which is that the longer time passes, the more time the traders have to build up. We should go now and launch a crusade. Everybody disagrees with him and outvotes him, and he's just left flabbergasted. He's never not had his way in an argument. He's always won an argument when it comes to power. And it's here that he realizes what Guilliman has done and what the current state of the Imperium is. It is no longer an Imperium that's in the Great Crusade. He wants things to go back to the way they were in the Great Crusade. And he thinks that that's the way forward for humanity, is to just get back to, you know, the Great Crusade era of pushing to take the worlds and compliance and etc. Now that everything's done with, you know, the Horus Heresy. But the current state of affairs is that the Imperium needs to evolve. They need to adapt or die and change a little bit. And the Emperor's not here, so they have to do things differently in a way that works. And humans have so much more of a say now. And the other Primarchs, Lionel Johnson and Lehman Russ, initially they kind of and ah about Dawn's point, but even they are swayed to Guilliman's, and they more or less side with Guilliman eventually, going, oh, yeah, actually, you know, that makes a lot of sense. You do pitch a good point. And so Dawn's just left there for a bit, like a hot minute. He's just like totally baffled. But having said this, that is what happens. So Guilliman establishes that he is the dominant Primarch in the system of government because of just how big the empire of the Ultramarines is, right? But he states that it's not his empire, it's the Imperium's, right? But the thing is, if not for the worlds he had captured under Ultramar, if not for Ultramar, the Imperium Terror would be just not existing anymore. Everyone would have died from disease. They would have just, yeah, you wouldn't have the Imperium without Guilliman and the Ultramarines and their worlds of Ultramar. And so, springboarding a bit off that, right? We're going to now flash even further back into the past. This is gonna be fascinating. Going back further into the past, in the Horus Heresy, okay, we have Cal, okay? So at the planet Cal, the Lorgar, his legion, go to that planet and more or less they play their hand as traitors, revealing themselves as traitors, and Guilliman, he's taken by surprise initially. The Ultramarines are taken by surprise initially, but they fight back, and Guilliman has this really epic moment where he's vented into outer space. Everyone thinks he's dead, and he's fine. He's actually fine. Yes, Primarch physiology can handle outer space for a little bit. He makes his way back inside, and he proceeds to tear Lorgar's legion a new one with nothing but his bare hands. I mean this literally. He rips them to pieces with his bare hands. And then, you know, he declares war on the traitorous elements of the word bearers and Lorgar. And he fights them back, but they more or less trigger this giant ruin storm, which is a huge pain in the ass for all of the Imperium now, because the Ruin Storm cuts off one side of the Imperium from another. Now, Guilliman and his Legion, more or less, they think over time that the Emperor might have died. If there's this huge treasonous element now within the Space Marine legions, maybe the Emperor's died. He has to save humanity and the dream of humanity and preserve his father's dream, the Emperor's dream of humanity. How does he do it? He creates what he thinks is the bastion of this dream, the final bastion of this dream of his father's, Imperium Secundus. And sure enough, Sanguinius's Legion, they can't really find their way through the Ruin Storm, so they end up finding Guilliman and Imperium Secundus, and they chill with him a bit. This is a really gross, like, short story version of everything, okay? But they find it, they chill with him, they help him establish Secundus to a point. But it's not really finalized as Imperium Secundus yet. Meanwhile, Lionel Johnson and the Dark Angels, before this, or actually no, concurrently to Calth and Guilliman going off to begin forming Imperium Secundus. So concurrently to them, at the same time, right? You have Lionel Johnson and the Dark Angels, having just jumped into space and encountered, gosh, hang on, let me just make sure I get this right. I just have to double check which legions because I want to make sure I haven't botched it. Yeah, okay, good. Yep, cool. He encounters the Death Guard fighting with was it the Iron Warriors or the Iron Hands? No, I think it was the Iron Warriors. Yes, so I think it was the Iron Warriors. Let me just double check one thing. Iron Ruin Storm, Terra, Tashulka, demonstrate. No, where is it? Webway. Either way, I'm just going to say it like this. So, effectively, the Dark Angels warp into... I'll pitch it to you like this. Lionel Johnson, the Dark Angels, they emerge out of the warp on the other side of the Ruin Storm. In a very, like, they're like at the vast outer rims of space. Because Horus tricked them into going really, really far away from Terra. They're like on the arse end of the galaxy. Now, they hit up the warp drive, they emerge out of the warp, and they've tried to go home, and they encounter the Death Guard, and the Death Guard are fighting with a different legion, and I'm pretty sure it's the Iron Warriors, or the Iron no, I think it was the Iron Warriors. Do correct me if it's not the Iron Warriors. Correct me if it is the Iron Hands. Oh no, Iron Hands were... Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure it was the Iron Warriors that the Death Guard were fighting. Now, the reason they were fighting is there was the Tashulka engine. The Tashulka engine was this insanely powerful artifact created by the Old Ones, literal gods, before the existence of humanity. Now, this thing is like a set of 3. It is a device that combines with its other sibling elements to form this master like key that can more or less completely alter reality to create massive webway tunnels in order to travel at faster than light. on the Tushulka's own, on the Tushulka engine's own, it still has the ability to function as a warp drive, albeit an insanely advanced one. An insanely advanced one. It can pinpoint anything within a set distance, teleport it, or teleport other things to it, like to and fro. And so, like, the Death Guard are fighting over it. What they don't know is that the Tushulka engine is also alive. It has some form of intelligence, a super intelligence inside it that is sentient. We don't know if that's an old one's like mind trapped inside of the engine, or if it's a sentient AI. What we do know is that there is some kind of like super intelligence inside it that is alive. And the Dark Angels and Lionel Johnson see this, and they swoop in and they take it for themselves, and they more or less beat back the Death Guard and the what I believe is the Iron Warriors, and it's used to try and defeat the Night Lords and Conrad Kurz, who are a traitor legion unto themselves, but also Conrad Kurz doesn't really care so much about the rest of the traitors. He kind of just wants to do his own thing. But then, like, there's this continual back and forth between the Dark Angels and Conrad Kurz. The Lion beats the crap out of the Night Lords and Kurz for a little bit as well. And what happens is they go into hiding for a hot minute. Meanwhile, the Lion's like, okay, I'm going to talk to the Tushulka engine secretly, and no one else gets to know that this has some sort of sentient AI in it. And so he converses with it, and he more or less gets it to agree to try and allow for the Dark Angels to use it to warp travel. And they try to travel home initially, and they're like, oh crap. And why do they go, oh crap? Because they hit Snag in the Ruin Storms. A bunch of Chaos Demons more or less invade their ships and the space that they're in, and they have to fight them back. And they can't really fight them back properly because the Council of Nicaea banned the use of warp sorcery. So they're trying to fight them like normal, warriors would, with like bolters and chain swords and just conventional weaponry. Here's the deal. The Lion sees the writing on the wall and is like, executive decision. We are unbanning warp sorcery. And in a sense, librarians are reinstated temporarily to deal with this issue. Now, it's fine. They fight them back, and then they re-emerge back into real space, and then they try again to use the Tushulka engine to warp back to a space closer to Terra. And they try to do a series of short jumps. In one of their short jumps, they find Imperium, like they find Guilliman and Sanguinius. And the way what happens is they actually detect a signal from the Pharos device, which is like a miniature Astronomican beacon. And they find the signal and they warp toward it, and yeah, they end up finding Guilliman and Sanguinius, and they all talk. They vibe together. What occurs is that basically they form a triumvirate, a three-way leadership, where they all think that maybe the Emperor's dead, and they have to save humanity and the dream of the Emperor for humanity by forming Imperium Secundus. Now, if you don't know this, empire building is seen as heretical. It's seen as a big no-no. But they genuinely thought the Emperor died and that they had to save humanity, and more or less fulfill or step into the shoes of their father and save humanity. So in a sense that it was a necessity. It was needed, at least from their eyes. So in a sense, you had Sanguinius as the emperor. You had the lion made to be the Lord Protector of the realm, and then you had Guilliman as administrator. And so, which is, of course, he's gonna just be the dude who Excel spreadsheets everything, right? Such a Guilliman thing. Of course, he would put himself in that position. But together, they try to lead this new empire for a while. But what the other Primarchs don't know is that an old problem has been following Lionel Johnson for some time. The Night Lords and Konrad Kurz. Now, the Night Lords have been decimated for the most part, but Kurz has been lurking in the Lion's flagship, the Invincible Reason, for some time, undetected. The Dark Angels know he's there, by the way. They don't tell Guilliman, they don't tell Sanguinius about this issue initially. And this is bad. This is bad for so many reasons. Look, the Lion's secret is revealed in like a most spectacularly bad way. It's just so bad. It's just so so the Lion initially thought that maybe Guilliman was a traitor because he could see an empire there, right? Being built by, Guilliman. So he's gonna go down there and he's gonna judge and see if Guilliman is a traitor for this. And when he gets there, Konrad Kurz deploys all of his Space Marine forces. Deploys all of Lionel Johnson's Space Marine forces in drop pods, right? And it causes the Lion to more or less confide in Guilliman. Oh, actually, look, we have a problem. Konrad Kurz, a traitor Primarch, has been evading us for some time. He is on our ship, and we need to deal with him. Please don't shoot my Space Marines out of the sky. Those are friendlies. And Guilliman sees that the Lion is not infallible for the first time, which is interesting because the Lion is actually a Primarch that Guilliman actually really, really, really looks up to, but he can't work with very easily. So their relationship is complicated initially. So effectively that happens, and Guilliman agrees. Okay, fine. We won't fire or anything because we understand you're a friendly force. The Lion, so Lionel Johnson, sees that Guilliman is not a traitor. And Guilliman explains, everything. And that they're just trying to preserve humanity and save humanity, and maybe the Emperor's dead and they don't know, but they need to do this to be sure that humanity survives. And Lionel Johnson gets down with it. And Lionel Johnson is the firstborn son of the Emperor, and his loyalty is unquestionable to the Emperor. He is undoubtedly not a traitor in any way, and he could never be. So for him to actually green light Guilliman and join Guilliman says a lot about the intention of Guilliman. He is not a traitor either for doing this. And the same with Sanguinius. If Sanguinius greenlighting Guilliman, it pretty much says, yeah, no, Guilliman's fine. He's totally in the right. And together, all three of them form Imperium Secundus. They lead it, and they try to build up this force whilst trying to also deal with Konrad Kurz, which is a thorn in the side of everybody there. On Konrad Kurz's own, he kills millions of people. Millions on his own. It tells you so much about the lethality of a Primarch if they are a traitor. Now, I've told this before, but in a nutshell, in a very short, tiny little nutshell, basically, Lionel Johnson is tasked as Lord Protector. He tries to deal with Kurz. His first idea is, and it's actually the correct strategic idea, is, okay, look, Konrad Curze can predict the future. He can also make himself invisible. What we should do is use weapons of mass destruction from orbit to flush him out and then deploy forces to contain him, and then I'll go down there and fight him and bring him to heel so they can face judgment. It's the right play. But Guilliman says, you will not bomb the hell out of my worlds. You will not drop weapons of mass destruction on my worlds. These are my worlds. You can't do that. Don't do that. That's not good. What Guilliman doesn't understand is that the Emperor actually trusts Lionel Johnson with these weapons. But also, Guilliman doesn't think it's the right play either. And Sanguinius agrees and sides with Guilliman, and he pretty much says, look, I am the appointed Emperor now. You cannot do this. Do not do this. And Lionel Johnson goes, okay, fine. But then Lionel thinks that he has a loophole, right? And here's how he tries to do this. He fills drop pods with rad bombs and phosphex grenades, deploys them down from orbit, right? Then once they've landed, the doors open up, and then all of the devices that they are filled with go off. And by and large, he thinks that he has actually got a loophole here in doing this. And it works. It flushes out Konrad Curze. The Dreadwing is deployed to create a perimeter and ensure that Konrad Curze can't escape from said perimeter. Then Lionel Johnson goes in and duels Konrad Curze and proceeds to judo the ever-living crap out of Konrad Curze. He snaps Curze's spine on his knee, ending their continual rivalry, and showing once and for all, the Lion is just the best compared to them, and Curze couldn't do anything if he wanted to. Which is really funny, considering, the continual battles that happen. But, he brings him in. He reins him in. Konrad Curze is paralyzed, but he's brought in before Guilliman and Sanguinius to face judgment between the three. And what does Curze do, if not troll Lionel Johnson? He states that he went against the orders of Guilliman and Sanguinius. Okay, so... Oh, sorry, Chad, I really had to burp that. But he goes against them, and it's made clear by Konrad Curze speaking out, and he trolls Lionel Johnson, and he scuttles the trial and makes it about Lionel Johnson instead. By its end, Guilliman is so mad that he snaps Lionel Johnson's signature weapon, the Lion Sword, in half on his own knee. It gets fixed later, but that said, Guilliman does this, and Sanguinius temporarily banishes the Lion from Secundus, and the Lion takes her. The Lion doesn't take her. Sorry, the Lion leaves, and Curze is left to face execution by Sanguinius and Guilliman. Now, he's in orbit, and as he's leaving, he has an epiphany. Because Konrad Curze was raving about something for quite a while. It was a vision of the future. Now, it was a vision of the far future, right? So, here's how it goes. The epiphany was this. The Lion realized that if Konrad Curze had predicted that after everything, an assassin sent from the Imperium, after the Horus Heresy concluded, an assassin sent from the Imperium was sent to kill Curze, and Curze is supposed to die to an assassin of the Imperium of Man. It implies that the Imperium of Man still lives, and the Emperor still lives. He goes back and tells Sanguinius and Guilliman, guys, okay, I know you banished me, but hear me out for a hot minute, please. This is insane. We're all wrong. Secundus is wrong. The Emperor still lives, and we need to go back. Here's why. Conrad Kurz saw the future where he dies to an assassin sent by the Imperium of Man. Which means we're all wrong, and we need to go now to Terra to try and save them from the forces of Chaos and Horus. And in this moment, Conrad Kurz is spared, because if he is killed then and there, an assassin will not be sent in the future by the Imperium of Man to kill him. Meaning that if they kill Kurz now, there's a chance, chat, that the Emperor dies and the Imperium of Man fails if Kurz died, right? So Sanguinius unbanishes the Lion, all is forgiven. Guilliman and the Lion still have a hatchet to bury. They're pretty mad with each other, because Guilliman was right to flush him out, but he did go against Guilliman's wishes, and he did hurt a world under Guilliman's, protection. A world that Guilliman had built under his own empire. So they're still brooding, but they're still allies. And for all it's worth, their relationship is quite strained. Lionel Johnson is a Primarch that Guilliman deeply respects and looks up to, but he simply can't stand the man at this point. It's a complicated relationship that's deeply strained. Now, they all try to go to get through the ruin storm that's cut them off from the Imperium of Man's heart, which is the planet Terra. And they realize that the ruin storm has like all of this power that's coming from like one planet, one place. And I believe it's Davin, 40k. Let me just double check. Davin, Guilliman, the Lion. Oop, I just went Ultra Instinct. Yeah, it is Davin, which is so important. Yeah, it is Davin. So they go to this world Davin, and it's the world where Horus was corrupted into being a traitor through like Erebus. And of course, fuck Erebus, right? He's just so bad. The heresy wouldn't be the heresy without Erebus. And Horus was corrupted on this world. And of course, it's the nexus of power for the Ruin Storm. Now, the three Primarchs arrive at Davin, and Sanguinius and Guilliman go down to fight, whilst Lionel Johnson is tasked with observing from orbit and moving in as a reinforcement should they need it. There is a dark whispering coming from Davin, right? Now, I'll get into this. I'll pitch you just how bad it is when they go down there. All three of them are put in a terrible situation. It's a trap, for sure. So, Sanguinius enters a warp gate, which has a greater demon in it, and I believe it's the greater demon Mardale, from memory. And he fights Mardale. He's stuck in the gate for ages. He can't get out. He's trapped there fighting the dude. Meanwhile, Guilliman is going, oh crap, Sanguinius is in there. But I'm stuck fighting all these forces of chaos right now. And oh my god, is that like a giant daemon engine? Holy crap, we got to deal with this thing. And so they're pinned down there. It's bad. Meanwhile, Lionel Johnson is in orbit, and he is hearing a dark whisper in his ear that is trying to make itself seem like his thoughts, right? It's whispering into his ears, you need to fire on that planet and destroy it with your brothers on it. And he almost pushes the button until he realizes this is not his thoughts. This is some sort of warped trickery. And so he goes down there with all his forces, and he and Guilliman, they finally bury the hatchet. They become besties. They fight together. He saves Guilliman. Guilliman and the Lion team up. They're like this perfectly synergized force that cannot be reckoned with. They destroy all of the Chaos Forces, and together, both the Lion and Guilliman take on and destroy a Soul Grinder. And they basically are the reason Sanguinius is able to push through this fight with Mardale. He more or less, with that exchange between himself and Mardale, he exits the portal. The three of them and their remaining forces teleport, emergency teleport back to their respective ships, and together they agree to destroy Davin from orbit using weapons of mass destruction. And Lionel Johnson fires a series of cyclonic torpedoes that just annihilate Davin. As Davin disappears, the Ruin Storm parts, and there's this like corridor of space that they can go through leading directly to Terra. And I say corridor, it's more like a tear within reality between then and there that they can go through, leading directly for Terra. So they all go, oh shit, we can go home and we can fight against the traitors and protect the Emperor there and save humanity. But before they do, they have a realization. Sanguinius realizes he only sees himself on the planet of Terra. And he tells them, guys, this is my vision. What does this mean? We can't all go to Terra. And they understand something. There must be a blockade of forces at the other end that Horus has predicted. That Horus has left there, because he predicts that Sanguinius and the other Primarchs will come through this corridor. So Guilliman, with the largest fleet, makes a determination alongside the other Primarchs that he should be the battering ram that like smashes into this blockade and distracts it. Now, that's all fine. They realize that it's like a really painful thought for Guilliman, because he understands that this is destined, this is predetermined, and he can't take. He's so pained that he has to do this stupid void battle, and he may not be able to participate in the siege and protect everybody. He hates it, but he knows it's the right move. Lionel Johnson debates with Guilliman whether or not he should join the blockade or not. And they come to the conclusion that Lionel Johnson should go and destroy the supply chains of the Chaos Forces. And as I said earlier, it's absolutely the right move, because of course you're destroying the supply chains and the homeworlds. But as I said, it has a secondary effect. Just these worlds, the homeworlds of the Traitor Primarchs, were aspects of or physical like icons within reality that were empowering the Traitor Primarch's connection to the warp with the Chaos Gods that they were empowered by. And in destroying those worlds, he greatly removed or affected their powers, such that Angron was so weakened that like Sanguinius could kill him. And this is after Sanguinius has already killed a different greater demon as well on Terra. So they all decide to do this plan. Guilliman will smash his fleet into the space blockade of Horus's fleet. Sanguinius will punch through and go right past, sailing on ahead to Terra to bolster the forces. There are 10,000 Dark Angels, I believe, that are stationed on Saturnine, who go down to Terra as well, and they take part in the Siege of Terra too. So the Dark Angels are also there. It's just a separate contingent of Dark Angels. It's not Lionel Johnson's forces. Lionel Johnson will take his fleet, and they'll go off and destroy these traitor worlds. Meanwhile, Corswain and his 10,000 Dark Angels. Corswain, by the way, is like the most trusted Space Marine, like in the entire Dark Angels Legion. He's just kind of like the best Dark Angel, and he's given so much control over the Legion by Lionel Johnson. Anyway, he is fighting at the Siege of Terra too. And the fallen Dark Angels that are at Caliban, led by Zahariel, go down there. And they fight at the Siege of Terror, and they also fight alongside Corswain's Dark Angels, and they save. Yes, the Fallen, led by Zahariel, save Corswain and the Dark Angels. And together they fight as one. So the Fallen are totally heroes, chat. Like, it's the darkest thing that they're seen as traitors when they're not. They were there. They were like single-handedly responsible for the Emperor winning, because without Zahariel and the Librarians, the Astronomicon beacon would not have been relit with Keeler alongside them. And without the Astronomicon beacon, the Emperor would not have been able to allow Guilliman to bring his fleet in, and the Astronomicon's light would not have been able to be shone on Horus's brain for him to be freed of chaos long enough to be made to see reason and be redeemed, and pinned down long enough for the Emperor to deliver the heart stroke to Horus and annihilating his soul using the knife given to him by Olanius Person, filled with his psychic power. But the thing is, it completely unmakes Horus at the level of his soul, allegedly. But we don't know that for sure. The book doesn't say that his soul is annihilated. It just says that his body is burned away. Having said that, at its conclusion of Horus dying, Guilliman finally can go in and, as I said, reimburse humanity on Terra for all its losses with all of his supplies. He is the humanitarian hero of sorts, you know? And then, sure enough, other fleets like Lionel Johnson's arrive, and like they further reinforce Terra. They further assist Terra in its recovery. All the traitor elements are just utterly purged. Sanguinius's legion is beside itself at the loss of their Primarchs, because Sanguinius dies to Horus. But, you know, they exist. They're there. They play a close relationship with Guilliman in a sense, in upstaging the other legions in some ways. Like, there's this low-key... Like, as I said, Guilliman establishes he is the dominant Primarch. In a sense, this is a coup. A military coup. The Blood Angels assist in some ways or another. That said, all of the events play out. The Scouring happens. Guilliman takes a terrible wound to Fulgrim, and is put into stasis for 10,000 years until he comes back. After Yvraine and her warp sorcery assists in him being returned, and the Armor of Fate that's created by Call helps him heal as well. Meanwhile, the Lion, he and his fleet, after the Scouring and all of that, they go home to Caliban, and they are fired upon by Luther, who has more or less turned a bunch of the leadership forces that are on Caliban, the leadership within the Dark Angels on Caliban, against Lionel Johnson. And so Lionel Johnson has this miniature Horus heresy of his own to deal with, where he's betrayed by his closest friend and ally, Luther, who raised him, by the way, and Caliban is shattered by these time storms that are created in the far future by Azrael, which is hilarious, because Azrael was trying to remove the Fallen by using time travel, and then he turns off the time machine, but this time machine creates the time storms that rip apart Caliban and send the Fallen Dark Angels into the future, where they now exist in the future, and it's all his own fault, and he doesn't realize this, which is hilarious. He's responsible for it. What he doesn't know is that at the Caliban, at the shattering of Caliban, Luther and the Lion were dueling. Luther is defeated by the Lion, but he is spared in the last moment. And Luther takes advantage of the Lion's like compassion for, and he fires a psychic blast, which more or less grievously wounds the lion's soul. And at this moment, he realizes what he's done. He has an Anakin Skywalker moment and goes, "What have I done?" And he too is flung into the far future. And the Chaos Gods actually make this time storm go crazy because he decides to like more or less say no to their gifts. And so they make the time storm go crazy. They make it rip apart the planet too of Caliban. He is also flung into the future. The lion is secreted away by the Watchers in the Dark into a secret area within the Fortress Monastery that is actually on Caliban. And because it's shielded, you have like this sphere that's left of the Fortress Monastery and whatever's left of Caliban. And that is found by the remaining forces of the Dark Angels who were loyal to the lion. They make it their secret sort of new flagship called the Rock. They don't know that the lion is in the secret chamber in the Fortress Monastery, and he is slumbering, recovering in a coma for 10,000 years, just like Guilliman is slumbering and recovering for 10,000 years. Enter the events of Warhammer 40k, where Guilliman wakes up because of your rain and, yeah, the Armor of Fate. Now, he launches the Indomitus Crusade after the Primarchs are gifted to him, and they're shown... Well, I shouldn't say gifted. They are revealed to him by Call, and they are the upgraded Space Marines, and they can be made en masse. So he launches his own crusade, the Indomitus Crusade, to retake the stars and avenge all that was laid low by the traitor forces. And then the Lion wakes up subsequently in Imperium Nihilus, whilst Guilliman is retaking Imperium Sanctus. And so, all the events of the Lion's return happen. And he becomes the Knight of Nihilus, retaking that other half of the sector. And then Archmagos happens, chat. Where, there's this gap in the Secatrix Maledictum, the Attilan Gap. And basically Guilliman has crossed over into Nihilus and is trying to get back. And Call is trying to find ways to close the storm and create a way for people to cross over from Sanctus and Nihilus with ease. And he does this by reverse engineering the Necron pylons that can turn the connection of the warp off and on by more or less thinning or thickening the veil between reality and the warp. By adjusting the Blackstone's charge that is in the pylons. Now, all goes to plan, and more or less Sanctus and Nihilus can now cross over a corridor created by Call now with these pylons, which is huge. And so now we have 500 worlds and all of that stuff. Now look, that's pretty much like a history lesson leading into the context of 500 worlds, but you also have to understand the Tyranid invasion happened. Where you have the Tyranid invasion at the Battle of Macragge as well. Now, the Battle of Macragge, the Tyranid invasion, happened when Guilliman was still resting, and Macragge, it concludes sort of at the awakening of Guilliman, right? And the next invasion of the Tyranids occurs, and Guilliman wakes up, and Titus has been serving in the Death Watch, and then he's deployed to that world in Space Marine 2 at the beginning, and he is sensed by Vara Tigurius, and Tigurius initiates a rescue operation for Titus, and they bring him back into the fold. He is remade as a Primaris, and then Space Marine 2 plays out,
Secret World happens. He goes on his mission, and then he is renamed. Sorry, he is reinstated as Captain of the Second and Warden of Ultramar, and then there you have it, 500 worlds. Now, look, that's like so much of the lore kind of just jam-packed into like a highly digestible, really shortened story, chat. And it showcases the relationship of the Primarchs, and how Roboute, Guilliman, how the Lion and Sanguinius interact in Imperium Secundus. You have to understand something. Guilliman waking up wasn't initially liked by certain human elements of government. He woke up and he redeclared himself as Lord Regent and Commander of the Imperium again, which by its worth, he was just sleeping until he woke up, and he retakes his position as like the dominant leader. And the High Lords of Terror initially try to betray him and remove him, and then they're dealt with and removed, and then other leadership forms are put in place. Having said that, that sort of situation occurs in a really cool book, Cypher Lord of the Fallen, which I recommend. It's a good read. Very, very, very neatly written too. It reads kind of differently from a lot of novels, but I would recommend it to you. But that said, Guilliman is questioned for his loyalty at every twist and turn in his time of reawakening, because people think he's going to reinstate himself as an emperor or something. They think that he's going to try and empire build, when it's sort of like, guys, come on. Do you like the Imperium man is the empire and it needs to be built. He doesn't want to be the emperor, but he has to be a leader, and he has to work to save humanity. And how are you going to do that? By rebuilding this empire. How is he a traitor if building Imperium of Man back up, you fools? It's just like, oh my god, it's so stupid. It's actually so stupid when you really think about it. When you really, really think about it, why is he a traitor for trying to rebuild the Imperium of Man? Think about this for like 30 seconds, you fools, and you will realize it makes no sense. But it mirrors so much of Imperium Secundus. Funny because Secundus was kept secret, and it sort of feels like Guilliman's deepest shame, because he disbanded Imperium Secundus. But at the same time, people do know about Secundus to some degree, and so his loyalty is constantly questioned, even though he's greenlit by the most loyal Primarch. Sorry, he's greenlit by the most loyal Primarch, which is like Lionel Johnson, and vouched for. Now, Lionel Johnson returning to speak with Guilliman at the end of 500 Worlds, and wanting to reunite with his brother after 10,000 years of them both sleeping and recovering, is huge. This is the return of not necessarily Secundus, I think, but you're gonna see, I reckon, Dante of the Blood Angels, Lionel Johnson, and Guilliman working so closely to build the Imperium of Man back up, and there's going to be so many mirrored feelings for the three of them towards Secundus, to Imperium Secundus, and I reckon that Secundus will come up as a roadblock for them as far as history is concerned. I think it will be a roadblock for them between themselves and the Inquisition. From what I understand, rumor has it that an Ordo Astartes is going to enter the lore, And I think that the Inquisition is going to investigate, and they're going to be a thorn in the side of Guilliman and the Lion at some point. But you know what's really awesome? The Lion has been secretly teleporting in and out using his forest walking ability to remove inadequate or incompetent or self-interested areas of humanity's government and replacing them with better people. From what I've come to understand, that's what he's been doing in some of his secret missions in his time in Nihilus, meditating and teleporting. This is after his return, by the way, and he's reunited everybody within his legion, both fallen and risen and unforgiven alike. He's been doing these secret missions, and he's just been doing a lot of mysterious stuff. And some of it, I believe, was him teleporting to, remove problematic parts of the Imperium's human governance. He is still basically doing top secret space CIA missions. As the Dark Angels do. So it's cool. He's still being that guy. He's still being really cool King Arthur Space Knight guy, whilst also being Space Knight CIA guy. It's just that he's a lot more low-key and a lot more chill and a lot more wise now. I really, really, really just want to see them bro hug when they meet, chat, and unburden themselves and talk to each other and just vibe. I really hope that we get something like that. Because there's just so much grim darkness in 40k setting. It would be great. It's what humanity needs. You need two loyalist Primarchs just vibing with each other and finally getting along with each other for humanity to succeed. I think that the Star Child and the Emperor's death will play in. There will be a miracle. I think the throne will fail. The Emperor will die. He will reincarnate almost instantly because his other part of his soul will finally be able to reach in and unite with the remaining parts of itself and reconstitute what was left of the Emperor back. And the aspect of the Emperor that we will see return will be the Star Child, the true Emperor, returning. But empowered far more than ever by the collective faith of humanity, seeing him as a god. So that's a lot of takes. That's a lot of theorizing. It's a lot of hopes. It's a lot of copium, lore-wise and theorizing about the return of the two Primarchs and their reunion. Chat, tell me what you think below. Thinkers, tell me what you think below in the comments on YouTube when this VOD goes back up. Also, if you don't know this, recently Games Workshop did something super duper awesomely based, but also hilarious because this is a thing in the very lore that they cook. But they have banned the use of AI in all their creative processes, and none of their staff are allowed to use it, and I am so for this. It's awesome. Games Workshop is so based for doing this. They want to protect their IP, of course. They want to protect their staff, and if it wasn't for the creative process of human beings that actually understand, what makes it special, it wouldn't be what it is today. 40k wouldn't be what it is today. Warhammer wouldn't be what it is today. It requires real humans to make something as special as the lore of 40k. It's awesome. They've gone and done something that based. So it's hilarious because, again, artificial intelligence is banned in the Imperium of Man. You will not, AI is typically seen as heresy, and they're referred to as abominable intelligence. AI. It makes so much sense. that they've banned AI. It makes so much sense. Look, GW doing something that makes this much sense is just amazing. It's such a vibe. It is such a vibe. Oh my god. But chat, look, thank you so much for today's live stream. It's been really fun rambling some lore. If you liked this live stream and you want to see more lore talking live streams like this where I ramble, please subscribe to the Theory channel Thinkafurr on YouTube. Please subscribe to it, and you will also be seeing some theory content and lore content for Warhammer 40k going up soon. I'm working on my Titus lore video currently, and look, I did take a good amount of time off during my vacation from editing. I did do like a few touch-ups here and there of it. It's still a good chunk to go. It's still got like about 9-ish minutes left of editing to do for the visuals. Once that's done, I'll pick soundtracks and then make a thumbnail for it, and it'll go up, and it will be the mostly complete lore of Titus leading into 500 Worlds too. So you'll get context for Titus and everything that he did, both in the games, outside of the games, in Secret Level and 500 Worlds. And it will all help you understand Titus as a person from start to finish, leading into the campaign of 500 Worlds once it's all up. So yeah, go check it out. It will be the mostly complete lore of Titus. And it will be up hopefully this month or by the start of February. It is my gift to you all, my first fully edited Warhammer 40k lore video. I'm a bit nervous about it, but let's just see how it lands, chat. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next live stream and or theory video. Big shout out to my mods. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Kotlo. Thank you so much for being a backup editor for this channel when we need your work. You do some amazing work. Can you chat, if you don't know this, Kotlolish also live streams on his own VTubing channel. Go give him a follow. Big shout out to you, Kotlolish. Let's try and make Kotlolish blow up on Twitch. Go give him a follow. He is a sanctioned artificial intelligence. So his VTube model, if you don't know it, is a robot. He is a real person, by the way. It's just that his VTube model is quite literally a robot by appearance. So yes, go give Kotlol a follow on Twitch. He is in our community a sanctioned sentient AI, if you will. You see this power armor? I'm wearing Dark Angel's power armor. I am allowed to sanction. I am sanctioned to use abominable intelligence, chat, if I so need to. Apparently, according to the Emperor. But that said, I do not condone the use of actual AI in my content, and I never will, chap, just so you know. Just in case that little joke and nuance is lost on you, I will never, ever condone the use of AI in my content to create things. So, yes, keep that in mind. Kotlol is a real person. It's just that he, yes, VTubes with a robot as his avatar and model. It's a lot of fun. Go give him a follow on Twitch. He will be live streaming Monday, January 19th at, I believe, let me just check his calendar schedule. Yeah, Monday next week. Monday next week. Yes. Monday next week, 19th. Go check him out on Twitch. Spelt Kotlolish. Give him a follow if that hard is holler. Sorry, yeah, give him a follow if that hard is holler. And yeah. Big shout out to you, buddy. Let's make you blow up on Twitch. All right, everybody. That's how much time I have today for our live stream, talking some lore for Warhammer 40k and 500 Worlds and that big reveal. Thank you, everybody, for being you and for letting me do what I do. I cannot wait until that lore video for Titus drops. Also, just so you know, I did manage to get some of the pre-orders for 500 Worlds. I got the campaign book, so I'll be reading through that lore. I did get the Titus box set with with him and the rest of his entourage. I also got the Necron Battalion box on pre-order. I'm still trying to get the Necrozma Amentar model on pre-order. I'm still trying to get the other model, the Catan Shard of the Nightbringer, the new version of it that also came out for 500 Worlds. But as far as playing the campaign, like, I'm pretty much almost all set. I have an Ultramarines army. I have Guilliman even. I even have a Titus model. We will probably live stream my D&D tabletop campaign of the Primarchs Return at some point. I just want all my models painted up for that. I also will be live streaming 500 Worlds when the models are painted up for that. I can't. That will be its own kind of live stream format, like D&D tabletop. But yes, all good things to come in time, chat. When it's all done, I'll have to create a whole separate like stream source for that and a whole different setup for that when it's out. I've been experimenting with it in Discord. If you want to take part in the tabletop games where I'm experimenting with it behind the scenes as I build up the resources to do that kind of stream format, do join our Discord. You will have to be a YouTube member or a Twitch subscriber or a Patreon member for access to that, because it is not something that I intend to do in an open hangout. But yes, our Discord exists. It's the heart of our community. Give it a join if you want to. I'll drop a invite link in just a moment. But thank you all so much for watching. You all are wonderful. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in today and everybody who is tuning in to the replay later on. Okay, so let's get that invite link for you all, and then I'm gonna head out. Oh, there we go. Join our Discord here. Bop. All right, everybody. Have a big brain thonky day. I'm gonna head out now. Bye-bye.